Howdy all, Wyrm here. A few months ago, we got the last Tale of the Shadow for the Shadowbringers series. If you're unfamiliar, these are a series of official source stories outlining people and events that the game leaves untied or unaddressed. Usually they elaborate more into the past of main characters we encounter during the main story. The final tale of this expansion delves into the day that G'rahatia travels back through time and space to the First, from a future timeline after the Calamity and Black Rose. This tale confirms a number of theories about the future timeline, and also officially confirms how time travel works in the FF14 universe. Time travel is such a difficult topic in games and other media, as there are many ways to do it. The main reason for this is, well, no one really knows what happens when someone travels through time, but there are many theories. As a result, fictional universes like FF14's, the Marvel Universe, Doctor Who and others that deal with the subject all follow their own set idea of how it works in their own set universe, to make continuity easier to deal with. For FF14, we never really encountered time travel until G'rahatia, but even then we didn't know exactly how he did it or what it meant for the future time he left. However, this newest Tale of the Shadow, the Unpromised Tomorrow, seems to have set in stone how time travel works in FF14. I won't read through the entire story as I'm only looking at the time travel element and aftermath, but I highly recommend you give it a read. Here's an excerpt from the tale at the moment it takes place. The following morning, the hour of his departure came at last. We stood upon the precipice of an unknown future, contemplating the promise of a tomorrow we would never see. Yet still we prayed, that our sacrifices at Adine sowed the seeds of a better tomorrow, that at journey's end, our departing friend might reap that joyous harvest too. We prayed as the crystal tower stirred to life and vanished in a blinding flash of light. The speaker is the 18th president of Garland Ironworks, an engineer of a line of engineers who kept the dream alive for this one moment. After the tower disappeared, he and his colleagues stood motionless and stared at the site where the tower once stood and thought, what now? None of them knew what would happen when he travelled back. One of his colleagues even mentioned, will we be disappearing too then? But the fact that they were still standing there, watching this site, saying those words and thinking of a future meant one thing. They were not to disappear and their timeline would continue. Long story short, they didn't disappear, and a wondrous event happened where Mirkad Sormer, whose body had lain still as a statue in Silverchair Lake for hundreds of years, finally moved and rose to life once more. He was awoken by the disappearance of the tower, but he seemed to fully comprehend the time travel event that had just taken place, as well as the world's situation around him. After a thrilling and inspiring dialogue with the engineer, Mirkad Sormer stated, very well. Under my protection shall thou undying rebuild, gaining newfound knowledge and the wisdom to wield it. Thus shall the children of man usher in a new astral era. This was major. This one tale tied up many plot points and gave us a full confirmation about what had happened. Let's go through it. The moment the tower travelled back, we learned how the laws of time travel worked in FF14. The future timeline remained and continued. This tells us that the moment G'rahatia and the tower went back and arrived hundreds of years previous to the first, an alternate timeline was created. In this timeline, the Shadowbringers expansion takes place, so this is now the game timeline. Take a look at this diagram I drew to explain it. The main timeline, and the only one we knew of, progressed up until the point G'rahatia travelled back and set his plans in motion. From this point, the timeline split, and the game timeline became an alternate timeline to how events should have unfolded. The future timeline, which I named the Black Rose timeline, where history continues uninterrupted and leads to the events causing the 8th Umbral Calamity. All the way 200 years or so later, when G'rahatia and the Crystal Tower travel backwards, where the tale confirms that the timeline keeps going and the future world still exists. Had we not seen this dialogue at the end of the tale, we could have assumed that the said timeline was erased, and the future was now the time where Grahati had travelled back to. You follow? Ugh, time travel. Time travel is such a dangerous time bomb of a mechanic when it comes to games and fiction, as it has the potential to change everything in ways even the writers didn't expect. However, the writers of FF14 handled this very well. It was quick, clean, and non-messy. The tale simply showed us that the time would continue, and the world would begin to heal itself, for it was the only world they were left with. As the time event confirmed to those who helped send Grahati back, that even if he succeeded with his mission, their timeline would continue uninterrupted, which is likely why Mika Sormer decided to come into the picture to assist. That's it, guys. Time travel really hurts my head. The future's the past the future, if that's even how it works. Which we don't know. But what we do know is Final Fantasy XIV has settled into what its theory of time travel is, and how it works. I hope you enjoyed this video, everyone. Leave your thoughts on the subject in the comments. If any experts on time travel concepts are watching this, I'd love to hear your thoughts especially. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it, and mash that subscribe button to stay tuned for more of my videos. Thanks everyone, and as always, have a good one.